She else?
Whoa.
Really?
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of On the Couch Talking Sports. As always, I'm Robbie. This is Kyle. Kyle, good to see you. How are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Doing well. You know, another good week so far.
Warm week actually.
Warm week. We're not infected with the coronavirus, so that's always good. Knock on wood. Don't even get me started. So dumb in some regard. I mean, listen. I don't want to make light of a serious health situation because there are people that are being infected and are unfortunately passing away, and obviously our thoughts and prayers are with those people. But people are just need to take it down a notch.
I agree with that.
Yeah, there are some people out there, including at the highest ups of our government, that need to kind of just take it one step back and really sort of look at things in sort of a more factual sort of way. I mean, life is going on. People are okay. The world has not exploded yet. We're good. We're okay. We're gonna be okay. It's like that song says, "Every little thing's gonna be alright." Yeah. Thank you. No, you nailed it.
Thank you.
But anyway, sort of getting back to that theme of everything's going to be alright and keeping going in life, it's time for another episode. And so what we want to do for tonight's episode is, obviously, with the weather getting warmer and the days getting longer and, the winter sports season on the high school and college level is coming to, or in some cases come to an end. And so what we want to do is we want to take a look at the college winter sports season, two colleges in particular. Kyle's alma mater, Wheaton College, that we've talked about several times on the show, and Babson College, which no is not my alma mater, because my alma mater, if you've watched episodes from a couple of years ago, my alma mater closed down. Yeah, that's right. Talking to you, former Mount Ida College, I'm wearing your shirt. Yeah, I'll still rock it till the day I die.
But they do have the same color, though, right? Team colors.
True. Yeah, same green and whitish.
There you go.
But no, so I decided to go with the one that was closest to where I live, and that was the Babson Beavers. So I just sort of copied down the records of some of their winter sports teams for both schools, and we're going to kind of go over them and see how the teams fared. So we'll start with Babson. And we'll start with their men's alpine skiing team, a sport that I have never partaken in, nor have no interest in partaking in. Their men's alpine skiing team finished third at the East Regionals this year, and then went on to finish 14th at the NCAAs. I'm sorry, they finished 14th at the NCAA Regionals. The Nationals are actually on the 11th, so they still have one more meet. I don't know what you'd call it, event left. But still, some good marks for the Babson men's alpine ski team.
Nice.
The Babson women's alpine ski team finished second at East Regionals, so good showings at the East Regionals for both teams.
It's pretty good.
And then they finished 15th at the NCAA Regionals, and then their Nationals will be on the 10th. So both of them, actually, today's the 10th, so they're actually Nationals were today. So we hope that they fared well in their nationals. So, Kyle, just quickly a reaction to the Babson men's and women's alpine skiing team. Pretty good marks.
Good. I didn't even know they had an alpine skiing team, but now I know. That's awesome. Good job, guys.
Now moving on to Babson men's swimming, which actually, we've seen, obviously, I think you and I both seen the pool many times, a couple of times at Babson. It's a very nice pool. Yeah,
I believe so. Maybe a handful of times, yeah.
So the men's swimming team actually did pretty well this year. They went 10-2 and finished in 5th at the Newmax.
Wow, so, good record, guys.
Good marks for the Babson men's swim team.
That's pretty good. Yeah, no, you guys look like you had a hell of a good year.
Yeah, so good.
Or good season.
Yeah, no, you're right. So good job, Babson. And then we have the women's swimming team, who finished 10-5 overall and finished in 7th on Newmax. So still isn't bad.
Still pretty solid.
Neither mark is that bad.
Yeah, there you go.
Now to the sports that we follow maybe a little bit more closely, if we're being honest here. The Babson men's basketball team.
Oh yeah, we've been to a few of those. Yep.
Yeah, we've been to a few of those games. They finished 20-7, third place in the Newmax standings.
Okay.
They lost to Springfield in the Newmax semifinals.
Okay.
And then lost to Ithaca in the first round of the NCAA tournament. So in early
Ithaca, New York, huh?
Yes.
Wow. Cool.
So bit of an early exit for the Babson men's hoops team this year, but still, the fact, anytime you make it to the NCAA tournament, that's a pretty good season.
That's amazing, yeah, and sounds like they had some pretty heavy competition with Springfield and Ithaca, and in Ithaca, which, mind you, has really good beer as well. So, yeah.
Then the Babson women's basketball team finished 18-8 on the season and actually won the Newmac regular season title. So very exciting for them. Unfortunately, they did go on to lose to MIT in the Newmac semifinals, so their season kind of came to an end a little bit sooner than they would have liked. But still, anytime you can win the Newmac, it's anytime, or just your conference in general, it's a pretty special occasion.
That's very good. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Newmac. That's a pretty big deal, and I'd say pretty much any college sport really, especially because I think Newmac, that's Division. Yeah, that's Division 3. Yeah. That's the one actually. We did at Wheaton, which we'll go over in a little bit. After.
Well, Babson and Wheaton are actually in the same conference.
Yes. Yep.
They're both in the Newmac.
Yes. So. Yeah. I remember I did a lot of those back in the track days. That was fun. Yeah, that was I like going to those. Actually, they generally had the Newmac championships. I remember, especially in the indoor season, they generally had them at the Reggie Lewis Center in Boston, which is closer to like the Brookline side of things, and it's a great center. If you guys ever get the chance, if you can go see a track meet there, I highly recommend it. It's a great.
I've been to Reggie Lewis as well. This is a really cool facility.
Right?
Yeah.
Right,
from Route 9, kind of, and sort of that area,
yeah, and this is to this is to athletes who are currently competing there, whether they are in high school or college. There's a Dunkin' Donuts there, so
nice plug. So moving on to the Babson men's hockey team, the last winter sports team on the Babson side of things. They went 18-6-2 this season, second in the New England Hockey Conference, and lost in the quarterfinals, unfortunately, to Southern Maine. They lost a tough one there, but they did earn an NCAA tournament berth and will begin the NCAA tournament at home against Wesleyan on Saturday night. So,
Wesleyan, that's more, what is that?
It's Connecticut.
Oh, in Connecticut.
Yeah, Wesleyan's in Connecticut.
Gotcha. Cool.
So, they'll be hosting Wesleyan in the first round of the NCAAs on Saturday night. So, good luck.
Right. Good luck
to the Beavers. Yeah, Babson Skating Center, always a fun place to go watch. Babson hockey is they always do well. They always are right there in the league standings. So
they could never defeat Wheaton, though.
Literally,
you know why?
Wheaton does have a team.
Yeah,
all right, so now switching gears over to the Wheaton side of things. Speak up, perfect segue. We start off with the Wheaton men's swimming team, who finished in 6th place at the Newmax this year. So, big ups to Wheaton men's swimming.
Very nice.
Nice. But how about the Wheaton women's swimming team, though? Finishing in 2nd at the Newmax. So, good job, Wheaton women's swimming.
Rock on. There you go. Cool.
2nd place in the conference. That's definitely something to write home about.
That's incredible. No, sounds like a fantastic season they had there. So, there you go.
And now to a sport that I know is near and dear to Kyle's heart, the men's and women's track teams, who will both be competing at their NCAA indoors on Saturday. It's interesting because like when you look up the schedule for track on the Wheaton website, it actually sort of combines the winter and spring seasons into one.
So about that, what they kind of do with indoor, so the way college does it, and I think high school does a little bit too, depending on which high school you go to, but they kind of just link them all together, really. So, because track really does, I think, begin in the winter and it ends in May.
Like the winter, though, is like
or June,
is indoor, right? And
yes.
then the spring is obviously outdoor. Yeah.
So they, despite that big transition, that big switch, it's just kind of like it's just got this flow. It just kind of flows right into one another. So it's just like it was funny because most of the athletes, I'd say, just did both. They just picked both.
Well, no, you did both. You did both.
Yes,
yeah.
I did both. Yeah, in high school, that wasn't always the case. I actually took the first 2 years of high school, and I didn't really have a winter sport. I did football in the fall, then spring track, and there's a couple people that do that. But in college, I feel like there's really if you go on the track team, most likely you'll do indoor and outdoor track.
Yeah.
So yeah, just the way it is.
There you go. Well,
and if you really want to, and for the distance people, sometimes it's all year round because
cross country. Yeah.
There you go. Because they don't have any fall sport for track, so it's really just if you're gonna get into track, they just do some training. They'll send you to the weight room, So, yeah.
Well, again, best of luck to both the teams
guys.
at the NCAA indoors on Saturday. Hope you guys come out strong.
Good luck, Coach Kim.
So now to the basketball side of things, the other winter sport at Wheaton.
Yeah.
The men's basketball team and women's basketball team actually finished with identical records. This year, 7 and 17. So kind of a tough year for both basketball teams. Neither one made the NUMAC tournament, but still exciting. Always exciting to watch. I know we've been to a few Wheaton basketball games over the years.
In fact, I remember back in, I think it was our freshman or sophomore year, we went to, I think it was like 4 games, or it was like 2 or...
Oh, the tournament, yeah. That was our freshman. I think that was the first time, story time, the first time I ever visited Kyle at Wheaton.
Yeah.
We went and saw it. It was actually the Wheaton women's team that we saw playing.
Yes.
And they were playing, I think it was like the finals or like the semifinals or finals. It was one of the 2 days of their annual like invitational tournament that they host every fall, and it was actually a lot of fun.
Wasn't Mount Ida in that, or when I think of a different tournament?
No, that was
a different game.
No, our senior year was when you and I went to the Wheaton Mount Ida game at Wheaton.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
that wasn't a tournament. That was just sort of a single game. But it's kind of funny though because Mount Ida's last year, they actually did play in the Wheaton Invitational Tournament on the men's side, and actually linked up with Wheaton in the championship game, and that was when my sister was at Wheaton, so she and I were kind of like rooting against each other.
Oh,
I unfortunately had something that day, so we weren't able to go to the game together, but it still was pretty wild, like, Mount Ida versus Wheaton again, like, butting heads. So.
There you go. Yeah, I remember we talked about that. I remember you brought it up a little while ago.
Yeah.
That sounded pretty cool.
So that was very exciting. And again, we obviously hope the Wheaton men's and women's basketball team is going to be turning around next year and make an even stronger push towards, maybe NUMAC tournament or whatever the case may be. But
there you go.
Sometimes you just, you can't always win. It just, unfortunately, sometimes you just get the short end of the stick. But, congrats to all the Wheaton and Babson women's sports teams, winter sports teams, both women's and men's, on terrific seasons. And
Good
to
job.
the seniors on all those teams, obviously, we wish you nothing but the best going forward. And speaking of teams that are wrapping up the winter sports season, it is actually the perfect segue into Robbie's final thought of the night. And that is that this coming Sunday, for the 3rd year in a row, the Wellesley Raider girls ice hockey team is going to be playing for a state championship at TD Garden in Boston. They're going to be looking for their third straight state title, going up against Canton.
Cool.
Who actually they beat to win the first of the now two, hopefully to be three state titles in a row.
Yeah.
They beat Canton back in 2018, so it's actually the second time in 3 years they'll be playing Canton in the state finals. So they had a nice, they've actually had a very impressive tournament so far. They've outscored their opponents so far in the 3 tournament games they've played by a 15-1 margin. They won 3-0, 6-1, and 6-0.
Wow. Okay.
So they've been
playing
pretty dominant, to say the least. And so this could be their toughest test. Obviously, the tournament, Canton is a very strong team. I saw them play a couple times throughout this tournament run because they were at the same venues as Wellesley. So,
gotcha.
But yeah, it's gonna be really exciting. I'll be there calling the game as I always do on Wellesley Media.
There you go.
Again, Sunday time to be announced. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm sure the Garden will be very excited. And again, I want to say to the girls, best of luck on Sunday, and bring it home. And it's kind of funny, a funny sort of antidote. The head coach, because we were talking about Babson and Wheaton, the head coach of Wellesley's girls team is P.T. Donato, and he actually played hockey at Babson.
Oh, really?
So 2013 graduated Babson.
Wow.
With a friend of us and a familiar name in Wellesley hockey circle, Zeke Testa.
Oh, no way.
They both graduated Babson together on the hockey team. So
that's pretty cool.
Shout out to PT. Shout out to Zeke as well, for that matter.
There you go.
But shout out to PT, and like I said, bring it home on Sunday. We'll be there and be rooting for you. So, well, at least I will. But yeah, so that's Robbie's final thought of the night. And now I'm going to turn over to Kyle, the Sue's, for the Sue's reviews. Kyle, take it away, my friend.
All right. So the thing I wanted to touch on tonight was I saw the most recent Invisible Man that just came out a week ago, actually. It was directed by Lee Winnell, who actually wrote the first Saw movie, and he may have done the sequels. I'm not really sure. But he also directed Insidious, and he directed this really crazy sci-fi movie called Upgrade. So he's been into kind of some really interesting projects, and I really respect him as a director. And The Invisible Man right here being one of my all-time favorite series. Well, I mean, okay, so I haven't seen all of the old movies. It's a series that dates back like in the early 30s, and I remember when I had read this book actually. Well, not this exact version, but I had read the Invisible Man book when I was in 7th grade. Fell in love with the story. Fantastic story. Highly recommend it. And this is, by the way, the H.G. Wells version, not the Ralph Ellison version. That one's called Invisible Man, which I'm sure is a great story. I just never read that one. But this is the sci-fi version. This is the literal The Invisible Man, where a guy literally turns invisible. So, after being a huge fan of the book and also being a huge fan of the 1930, I think it's 1933 film, which, if you get the chance, go check it out. It was very, very cutting edge for its time. I was very interested in seeing this new version with all these things going for it. Lee Winnell and this new kind of like modern take on this really classic story. And Elizabeth Moss, I hadn't really seen many of her movies or TV shows, but I'm sure a lot of you guys know her from shows like The Handmaid's Tale and I think Mad Men she was in too. So, and a bunch of other movies. Oh, she was in Us. I liked her in Us, the Jordan Peele movie. But anyways, so coming back to The Invisible Man. So yes, like I said, it's a modern take on this old story. In the book, it's about a scientist. In the book and the old movie, it's about a scientist who finds a way to turn himself invisible. He literally turns himself invisible. But in the new version, it's about a guy. He's like this like leader of this like $1 billion tech company. He also finds a way to turn himself invisible, and it's very different from the book. Honestly, the only connection between the book and the movie are just about a guy who turns invisible. It's really the only major connection. And I like kind of how they really updated this whole story. But what I thought was really interesting, too, not just the way they kind of presented the Invisible Man, but the way they actually had Elizabeth Moss's character be the main character this time around. And it really kind of goes into this, like, relationship between her and the Invisible Man, the guy who becomes the Invisible Man, essentially. You know who it is right away. So I'm not spoiling anything. There are a lot of twists and turns, so I will tell you that just to kind of. But yeah, so essentially, the movie begins with her essentially running away from the relationship because she's in a horrible relationship with this $1 billion tech guy. He thinks he has control over her, and she finally is able to run away, and she escapes his $1 billion mountain home or whatever he has. Like, it's this crazy high tech home that you see in a lot of movies. And it's kind of the movie is basically it's her life after her escape from that evil guy. And what happens is she finds out that, oh no, someone's stalking her and that person's invisible, and she has to figure out this whole mystery, like, what's going on? Oh no, and this person is out to get her pretty much. And so it does a really good job at building the tension. It doesn't go for the cheap jump scares. It's actually, it takes its time in kind of setting up the characters, setting up the plot of the movie, and it's a really nice slow burn. It's kind of a nice change of pace, and I really liked it for that. I thought it had a lot of tension. The atmosphere was great, and despite what the trailers show, it's more than a home invasion thriller. I'm going to stop right there because, like I told you, there's a lot more to it than what the trailers put out. They that's pretty much how they explain the movie. They're like, yep, it's a home invasion thriller, but no, there's actually a little bit more, and it's kind of fun when you kind of see that whole layer of the story peel back, and when you see all the crazy twists and stuff like that happen. So overall, I would definitely recommend this movie. I think it's a really nice modern update. I will say my only slight complaint of the movie is that the ending does get a tad bit convoluted. I had to kind of when I went to the movie with my friend, we were kind of looking at each other. We were like, "Wait, what's going on here?" At the end, it did get a little bit like I thought it was a bit much, but the very end of the movie, I thought at least kind of did a good job wrapping up the story, and yeah, I think it's a very, the movies like this, like we've seen other Universal style movies. They tried remaking Dracula and remaking The Mummy with Tom Cruise, and it didn't go so well. Like I wasn't the biggest fan of the Tom Cruise Mummy either, and I hadn't seen the Dracula movie. I just didn't really have any interest. But I will say for the Invisible Man, though, I think it shows that it's a very strong series, and I highly recommend checking it out. It's just a really solid thriller. Elizabeth Moss is fantastic in it. She, I think, is the best part of the whole movie. Actually, yeah, I'd say she's the best part of the whole movie because the movie really relies on her character. So, yeah. So I definitely recommend it. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Kyle, as always. Be sure to check that out. So, that's going to wrap it up for us here for this week from the couch. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, as always. We always appreciate it. And until next time, he's Kyle. I'm Robbie. And we'll see you next time on I Like Couch Talking Sports. Bye, everybody.
That's it. Okay. It's like the tilt.
I got something I need to say. This man needs help. Okay, this is the second thing of seltzer. By the way, I'm totally the wrong way. This is the second thing of seltzer he has had. Hey, this man needs help. Please help this man. He's a good man. He just is addicted to seltzer. And that's all I got.
I mean, you're not wrong. So. Seltzer helicarry.
Guess there could be worse things.
I'm not addicted, bro.
Well, you're a dick, but you aren't a dick.
Oh!
Slap.
You got a book slap for that one.